interested about. I am a moderator, Gitegi Caroline, from Intelligence and Strategy Operations Department, Kenya Revenue Authority. In today's episode, we'll be talking about KRA initiatives in mainstreaming ethics and integrity in domestic taxes. To get us through this is our very able, elegant lady, Wanja Wangondu. Wanja, welcome to this session. Kindly tell us about yourself. What is your name? What do you do? Which department are you?
Thank you and good morning, our dear listeners. My name is Wanja Wangondu from Domestic Taxes Department. I'm the Chief Manager, Taxpayer Services, and I have over 15 years experience with the Tax Authority, having worked in failures programs. And so your failures concerns that you have been telling us of the failures improvements you'd like to see from our aid, we've been taking them in and we have been implementing. We will look into them as we move on. Thank you, Caroline.
Thank you so much, Wanja. Wanja is our subject matter expert, a prolific person in taxation, well experienced, and we want to welcome you to this session. To our audience, welcome to this session. We have an issue with our webinar link, and we want to drive traffic to our KRA TV. Kindly, we request you to log in to www.kra.go.ke. Again, we want to request you to log in to kratv.kra.go.ke. For those who are unable to hear us in our webinar, kindly just move to kratv.kra.go.ke. Thank you very much. So Wanja,
Yes.
welcome.
Thank you.
It's a pleasant experience to have you here. Indeed, 15 years in taxation.
Yes.
You are quite a trailblazer. And you
Sure.
want to know more about you, want to understand about domestic taxes, want to understand about KRA initiatives that have been put in place to mainstream ethics and integrity. Let's go to our first question.
Yes.
How is KRA organized, please? Let us understand how is KRA organized.
Okay. Now, here at the Kenya Revenue Authority, we have two main revenue departments. That is the Customs Department and the Domestic Taxes Department. And I am from the Domestic Taxes Department, where we deal with the domestic taxes.
Okay, good to know. So how many stations, TSOs, Huduma centers do we have in regard to matters domestic taxes, matters customs? Will you mind just to enlighten us so that at least our audience can be able to reach out and access our services?
Wow, we are customer-centric people, and we have presence in the whole country, in the 47 counties. We have 42 domestic taxi stations. We have presence in 52 Huduma centers.
Wow.
And in addition, we have 54 customs offices, all operational and offering the services that you, our clients, need.
Wow, that's awesome. That means KRA has decentralized its operation and our audience can reach out and seek for services, be it in tax and in customs. So how does KRA aspire to become?
Wow, one of the things we want to do in the move to the Kenya Revenue Service is to be customer-centric. The voice of the customer is one of the voices that we are taking in and addressing in a big way. In addition, we want to be transparent. Do you know your rights and obligations? If not, get to our website and see what you expect from us. It should not always be what we expect from you, because as I put it, what we expect from you is to pay the taxes that you are to pay. But what should you expect from us? Just get to our website and see. We have a whole list of the items to do with your obligations, to do with what are your rights and all that. Get to know about them. In addition to this, we want to offer our services at your doorstep. That's why all the domestic taxes, the filing, the payment, as we'll be able to look into them, everything is done on our iTax platform. Another thing is, if you need any assistance, you can call us. Our offices are open for you throughout. And in all the 42 tax service offices and the 54 Huduma centers we've talked about, you can access any of our domestic services that you desire to access. In addition, we are working towards being highly responsive to you, our taxpayer needs, our taxpayers, to your needs. So we are putting our ears on the ground, and we are actually conducting surveys so that we be able to get the feedback from you on the services that you would want and processes that you would want us to improve on. And we're actually working on that, and we'll be able to address a few of them. And in this line, we aspire to co-create with you. We do not want to get a product for a taxman, but we want to get a product for you. And that's why we are doing a lot of public participation before we make a release of any process or any of our products.
I like that. Public participation.
Yes.
And in our constitution, under Article 10 of National Values and Principles of Government, we talk about democracy and participation of people. So we want our taxpayers to be responsive, to participate in our products. Meki Wanja is telling us. Again, we're being told that KRA is customer-centric. We offer the best customer experience to our taxpayers. So to our taxpayers, we urge you to pay taxes. Kulipa ushuru ni kujitegemea. Let's be democratic. Let's love our country. Let's uphold patriotism in what we do. In our 8th corporate plan, Wanja, tell us about ethics and integrity. What are we doing in our 8th corporate plan to address matters of taxation, matters of integrity, matters of ethics?
In our 8th corporate plan, we have 3 main focus areas. One of the areas is on tax simplification. A number of our clients have come out and said that people are charging them to offer services like filing returns and all that. And so one of the things that we are working on is simplifying the filing. For example, turnover tax and the monthly rental income tax returns, the filing is instant. And even when we train people on how to do this filing, they get it very fast. So you just need to log into iTax, go to file returns, select turnover tax return or the rental income return. And once you put your income, the system automatically computes and submits. So tax simplification is one of the things we are working on. And when we talk about tax simplification, we want to look at it from 2 angles. That is on the processes and on the tax laws as well. So in our education line, we are looking into the content that we are providing to you so that we offer our education in a simplified way. And also we simplify our content. We break down the hard legal jargons and make tax to be simple and understood by every person. And by the way, Caroline, we are not only targeting the tax-paying persons. When we talk about tax simplification, we have brought in tax element from schools. And so the simplification is coming in from schools to the persons as well who are paying. In addition, we are technology-driven organization. And one of the great ways that we are working on this is we want to use the technology that's in place so that we are able to ease the pain of the customers when they are interacting with us. In addition to this, we are using technology to improve tax compliance and service delivery. Finally, one of our key focus areas is tax-based expansion. Every time we interact with our clients, the message that we always get is, why shouldn't everybody pay so that the burden get less? This is our key focus, whereby we want to see is every person in the country who is supposed to pay is paying. We are moving to the aspect of taxing the digital economy. We are looking into the informal sector and looking into how do we bring the informal sector to the tax net? And I wish to report that we have seen a number of the players in the informal sector getting into the tax net. So our dear listeners, I wish to confirm to you today that tax-based expansion is one of the pillars that the taxman has taken in a big way, because we want to see that every person is paying what we should be paying. Our Commissioner General keeps on saying that none of us should pay a shilling more or a shilling less. This is the way we want to move. So we do not want to get to a place where any person feel they are paying more and or we have parties that are paying less, by bringing as many as possible to the tax net so that all of us contribute in our given ways to the tax net. And so we are looking into the aspect of even data-driven compliance across all the sectors of businesses. And by these, we know that even we may get up to a place whereby we will even reduce some of the tax rates, because the money that we'll actually be getting when every one of us get into paying will actually be adequate for running our nation.
Wow, good to know. As we've been told that 8 corporate plan focus areas probably is tax simplification, is technology-driven compliance, and tax-based expansion. So we've been informed also that in tax simplification, we are trying to entrench, or rather we are entrenching, informing, or rather we are entrenching taxation to schools, whereby we are training young people to understand about what is it to pay taxes, and also to just to be culture-centric, to appreciate that we need to be paying taxes for our country. Again, we've been told about the TB, the tax-based expansion, whereby taxation of digital economy, informal sector, and data-driven compliance is very key in our modus operandi. Technology is key all the time. We need to automate our processes. We need to re-engineer our processes and get to know how well we can be able to collect additional revenue. Thank you very much, Wanja, for those highlights on the 8th corporate plan. So what are the domestic taxes processes that have been put in place to enhance integrity?
Okay, let's get now to domestic taxes department. Now, as domestic taxes, we collect the major taxes. And let me just mention a few of them. We collect the pay-as-you-earn tax, income tax, both for individuals and for corporates, the value-added tax, the excise tax, the rental income tax, and capital gains tax, turnover tax, those taxes. One thing that I wish to report about the automation processes that have been there, one of them is we have a system. And the system has been in operation since the year 2013 when it was introduced. And with effect from the August of 2015, it became compulsory for all the filing of the returns to be done on the iTax platform. If somebody wants to get to the taxnet today, the first thing is, or the first interaction point is by registering and getting a PIN number. So how are we taking care of the registration process to enhance integrity? One of the means that we have taken up is by integrating with the various data sources. Today, if you want to apply for a PIN, you just log into iTax, and once you put your ID number, you realize KRA has your information. This is because we have integrated with the registrar of persons and as well as the registrar of companies, because we do not want to have data that's not clean. And so once we get the data from the registering parties, then by the time you're registering, you're sure that this is your correct information. In addition to this, even for foreigners who have the alien IDs, the data is also integrated. So let's look at the registration process. Once we register to get our PIN numbers or to get our obligations, before we are issued with a PIN number, there's something called OTP, or one-stop password, whereby we are sent for a security element to our emails. And once we are sent, it confirms that we are the persons who are registering for our details, and this ensures that our details do not get to long hands. And once we get this OTP, or one-stop password, one-time password, we are able to confirm, and upon confirming, that's a security element there. Nobody else will have your information. Another thing that we have done is ensuring that for where we do not have the data from the source parties, we have an approval process. So once our clients make an application, there's the uploading of the information, like for example, the foreigners who get their PINs using the passports, or for entities like the ones that are registered at the societies and the like. The staff will receive, our officers will receive a task, and we interrogate the information that has been provided in the system before we approve. This ensures that we have a seamless process whereby we check at the point the person is coming in, we're able to check who is coming in, and that the information is actually correct. Still on registration, let's talk about obligations. Customers were coming in with complaints that when I checked my PIN number, I have a VAT obligation and I should not be registered. And so what we have done here, we only want to ensure we have clean data, that if you have a given tax obligation, you know that you have tax obligation, number one, and number two, you know what's required of you. So what have we done? In our iTax platform, when you are registering for the given tax obligations like excise, value-added tax, pay-as-you-earn, the system prompts you by giving you information about that tax obligation. So by the time you're selecting that you need to have excise tax obligation, you know what excise is all about. By the time you're selecting that you should have the pay-as-you-earn tax obligation, you know that you're actually an employer, you need to be filing your returns. It even gives you the due dates. And in addition, it even tells you any penalties that may accrue if you fail to file the returns or to make the payment of the given taxes. So that's one of the ways we have enhanced our registration process. Should I continue with the filing, or you may guide me?
Oh, thank you so much, Wanja, for that prolific presentation. And I know that we've been well informed about our processes in registration. And just to remind our audience, I'm told that now you can hear the sound well. As we told earlier, the second option is to log in through the KRA website and go to KRA TV. Or second option again is to, first option is to log into the Stories of Ushuru under the YouTube page. Thank you so much. So Wanja, thank you for enlightening us. Please just continue to tell us about the automation processes again.
Okay. So automation has again been advanced on return filing. As it is today, we do not receive any manual returns. All returns are filed on the iTax platform. And this is very important for you, our esteemed clients, because when you file on the iTax platform, the returns will be there. That's a record that's kept there throughout for you. Nobody would come back to tell you you did not file. The record is there on the system. Number two, nobody can alter your records. They are secure when your records are on the iTax platform. And even when you conduct or when you want to make an amendment to the return, the initial return is still there and the amendment would still be approved and it would still be on the iTax platform. So our automation process of being on iTax platform has given us a window to be able to secure the information that you give. In addition, we want to assure all our clients that the only person who is able to access the returns that you have filed is an authorized officer who has the access rights. So your information is not to the general public, but your information is well secured. In addition to that, Caroline, matters payments.
Payments.
So when we get to payment as well, payment is on the iTax platform as well. So the customer gets into the iTax platform, generates a payment slip, and it's upon generation of the payment slip that one will make a payment. Again, things are easy. At the comfort of your office or at the comfort of your desk, you make the payment through RTGS, mobile payments, through maybe your bank, whatever mode of payment that you want to make. We are actually currently working with 47 banks, and we know this has eased your payment. So our dear customers, you may not, you cannot say that you do not know where to pay. As you are generating the payment slip, the guidance on how to make the payment is actually there. And most of you have even come back and told us about the mobile payments. And by the way, Caroline, it's good to note for the informal sector, they can pay even 10 shillings per day. If you want to be paying 10 shillings today, 20 shillings tomorrow, that is possible through our payment. So do not feel like the money you're paying is little. As little as 10 shillings, you can pay. And as much as billions, you can pay through LTGS.
Wow.
So we are receiving any payment money any day.
Yeah.
All platforms and all forums are available.
Okay. Oh, Wanja, as we've heard, kidogo ujaza kibaba. As much as we want to pay 10 shillings or 1 billion, we are still we're receiving all that money. And that for real, transparency and accountability has been bolstered in our processes. Thank you, Wanja, for informing us about automation. Tell us about ETR, enhancement of ETR. KRA has enhanced ETR processes. Maybe just tell us in a nutshell about ETR as we continue to other processes.
Okay. So now, I know most of us had installed the electronic tax registers, the electronic signature devices, and we have been in the process of enhancing these ETRs to get the modern tool, which is called Teams. And the good thing with the modern tool that is Teams is it has a real-time process whereby as you trade, we get the information, and this enhances your return filing, because at the end of the month, you have a pre-populated return. You don't need to fill in so much information. And it's also easing in compliance. It makes the customer be in a position to track their transactions. And I think the feedback that we have received from you, our esteemed customers, show that Teams is the way to go. And even as we work towards moving the e-Teams, we will ensure that we leave no leave unturned to ensure we seal any gaps and make all our processes to be seamless. And maybe, Caroline, just on the same note, there's this aspect of refunds the customers have been asking a lot about. And maybe this is a time also to let the customers know that we pay VAT refunds within 6 months, by the way.
Wow, 6 months?
Yes. And by the way, if we don't pay your refunds on time, we even pay you interest. Yes, we are not saying that if you don't pay your taxes on time, we ask for penalties and interest. I mean, panga ni ule ule. The same knife is cutting us. If we don't pay your refunds on time, we pay you with interest as well. Now, let's look into the processes for refunds, because it has been actually a pain process to most of our customers. And I wish to clarify today that all refunds applications are done on the iTax platform. Let me say this. If you file your returns and you notice that you're in credit possession, that does not warrant you to get a refund. And so if for sure you know there's a refund that you expect from the taxman, proceed to make an application to get the refund. And once you make the application, we will process that refund and we'll be able to pay you on time. In addition, we have noted a number of people who have actually said, don't pay me the refunds after it has been processed, but utilize that refund to pay my taxes. That is also something that we're actually doing, offsetting the refunds that's payable to pay the taxes. In addition, let's talk about even the aspect of disputes. Maybe we'll talk about disputes later and see how have we done or how are we working on that line to ensure that the customer feels well taken care of and we seal any integrity concerns that will be there as well.
Okay, Wanja. Thank you so much for those inputs. To our audience, I know there have been complaints about what we call customer experience. Some of us have been saying that some of our KRA staff are not, they don't communicate to us well. We don't receive timely communication. And I know KRA has come up with a pleasant way to have a relationship with our taxpayers. Wanja, tell us, how do you assign taxpayers to work with maybe our managers or our key people in the authority?
Okay, thank you, Caroline. We talked about having the 42 tax service offices in the country. Now, we have the large taxpayers office, we have the medium taxpayers office, the public sector division, and in addition we have the 39 tax service offices. Now, these are the tax stations. Like when we talk about Busia, when we talk about Moyale, when we talk about Namanga, those are the tax service offices that we are talking about. One of the key things that we have worked on is by assigning our taxpayers to relationship or account managers. If you belong to the large taxpayers office, to the medium taxpayers office, to the public sector division, I know all of you know who your account managers are. All of you know who your relationship managers are. And if you do not know, by the end of this session, drop a message, because I would like to see, because from where my commissioner is seated, she knows very well that all of you have been interacting with your account and relationship managers. Now, in addition, let's now talk about the small taxpayers, like you and I, who are assigned to the tax service offices. When we go to the tax service offices, all persons who have business income or rental income are also having a direct interaction, one-on-one, with their account managers and their relationship managers. And for all the others who we have employment income, we have a manager who is in charge of the individual pins. So we want to let you know, our esteemed customers, that there is somebody at our tax service offices who should be liaising with you. And in case you haven't gotten communication of who your account manager is, I received a communication. So I know that our account managers have actually reached out to our customers and have told our customers whom they are, and they're ready to assist us. So in case you do not know who your account manager is and you have a query, feel free to contact us on call center at kra.go.ke or on the number 0711 099 999, because we would want each one of us to know who is our relationship or who is our account manager.
Okay, wow. Thank you for informing us about that, because it's always pleasant to have a relationship with our key people from KRA, so at least we're able to be assisted with domestic taxes or maybe customs processes, among other things that KRA offers. So I'm looking at our charts still. Others are saying that they have a sound problem. Others are saying that they're able to get as well. Our sound team are looking into that matter. Let's go to complaints. Complaints management. Are we able to just resolve complaints regarding our processes? Do we have timelines, for instance?
Wow. Let's talk, what's a complaint? Because that has been one of the concerns I have noted in the recent past. A complaint is a surface request that has exceeded the surface level timelines. And now the customer has come out to say, yes, you told me that the approval for a PIN takes 5 days. And mine, it's 5 days, and it has not been worked on. So we have a complaint management unit at the marketing and communication department. In fact, when you visit any of our front offices, your complaint will be recorded. In addition, at the domestic taxes department, we have a complaints management unit. And so we are able to look into your complaints, understand where you are coming from, resolve it within the timelines. We have 30 days to ensure we close on all your complaints. And if it is a surface request, because if you apply for a refund today, we know that the timelines for processing refunds are 90 days. If you apply for the refunds today, the 1st of February, and the 2nd of February you come in and you make a complaint, our esteemed taxpayers, that's not a complaint. Because as we are saying, a refund processing takes 90 days. So that's our service level agreement for processing. So we will only register it as a complaint if the surface level agreement timeline is over. But we wish to notice that we receive all your complaints, we look into them. If yours is a surface request, we write back to you and we inform you about the timelines. But if yours is a complaint, then we fast track the resolution of the given complaints. And maybe, Caroline, let me state that we not only address the complaints, but we look into the big picture. Why did 10 people forward or raise a complaint in relation to a given process? And my biggest assignment actually is to look into that process and see that we seal the gap that is there. Sure. Because if 5 people are complaining today, we want tomorrow no one is complaining. So we are working into what is coming in as a complaint, and in addition to that, working on our processes to ensure that the person who is complaining today, that gap that was there maybe in a process or whatever gap that was there, it gets sealed so that tomorrow there are no complaint. So to our esteemed taxpayers, yes, we are working towards ensuring that we resolve your concerns within the given timelines so that we have 0 complaints coming from you. But that does not mean I am blocking you from complaining. No. If you still have an area that you feel you need to bring to our attention, if you still have a complaint, it is highly welcome. And we're working towards sorting all your concerns. In fact, your joy is our joy.
Wow.
Yes.
Your joy is our joy. That's good. We've heard that KRA is amicably resolving complaints. On training to taxpayers, has KRA entrenched integrity and ethics to training our taxpayers during our other trainings in taxation or customs?
Wow. That's one of the things we're doing in a big way. To our esteemed taxpayers, I wish to let us know that we have an open forum every Thursday of the week. Every Thursday. And in this forum, you can see the link on our website. In this forum, we actually address all the heated concerns in the market. We address all that. In addition to the Tax Thursday, we actually call it Tax Thursdays. In addition to the Tax Thursdays, we have forums for the newly registered taxpayers. Every month, we train all our newly registered taxpayers. And we train them for the specific tax obligation you have registered with. So we have a newly registered forum for pay-as-you-earn taxpayers, for the VAT taxpayers, for the rental income taxpayers, for the turnover tax taxpayers. We also do it even for the excise taxpayers. So that is one of the key things that we are doing today to ensure that you've come into the tax net. We let you know of all your obligations. We let you know of all your rights and all that. In addition to the existing taxpayers, we have sector-based engagements. And these sector-based are scheduled, and we notify you in advance about the given engagement. We send you the link as well. Now, Caroline, in all these engagements that I've talked about, we train on integrity. We let the customer know about iWhistle. iWhistle is that channel that you use to report something anonymously. By the way, when you report on iWhistle, it is only about 3 to 5 days. Actually, there are 3. There are 3 dedicated officers who look into the iWhistle reports and they take action on them. So another thing that we do is we train our customers on the reporting lines, because we want to ensure that no one takes advantage of our customers. So in all these trainings, as we have been doing, and we will still continue doing, we will continue training you on integrity. We'll continue telling you what KRA is doing in line to do with the national values. We will continue telling you on how KRA is, what are the reporting lines that you have. And there's this email that we give you for you to report any corruption concerns. That is the cic@kra.go.ke, or any complaints that would be there. And on iWhistle, that is your tool, our esteemed taxpayer. Take advantage of it and report. And as we always tell you on training, there is no payment, there is no tax payment that is done to any KRA officer. All tax payments are done on to the KRA accounts, and you need to print an e-slip for you to make that payment. So if anyone from wherever is asking for anything else, report them on iWhistle. Yes.
Report them on iWhistle, as we've been told. So again, I understand that in KRA we have integrity assurance officers whom KRA have trained, and there are ambassadors on the ground. Their work basically is normally to inform our taxpayers about KRA initiatives that have been put in place to curb corruption. And I want to appreciate also our audience, and we have our KRA staff who are part of this team. We want to thank them for always doing great and also for supporting our taxpayers. Conducting and implementing bribery and corruption risk assessments. Wanja, those are strategies that we are putting in place to be able to identify risks in our departments, in our processes. How does DTD identify risks? Do you have a corruption prevention plan? Do you have integrity risks in your departments?
Wow. You talked about something to do with integrity assurance officers. Let me say, at Domestic Taxes Department, we have the largest number of the integrity assurance officers. And by the way, all the new staff who are coming in, that's a training they are undertaking, because we want all our staff to know how to handle integrity matters. Now, in addition to that, at the beginning of every year, we sit with our teams and we look into our processes. We identify any gaps that would be in our processes, and we actually call these key integrity or key corruption risks. And then we prepare a work plan on how we will seal these risks and these gaps. So like as we speak, every domestic tax unit has the key corruption risks and the key integrity risks plan in place, and we are implementing them throughout the year. And one of the key things that we have noted is that when you plan for something, it becomes so easy to take care of it. So when we talk about these are the areas these are the processes that we are working on. Like, for example, we identify, one of the things we're doing, we are identifying the semi-manual processes. And we are working towards seeing how do we take care of the semi-manual processes to make them full. Like let me give an example. LIFADs. In LIFADs, there are some LIFADs cases that require audit. So the two processes are not interlinked. So that's one of the things we are looking into to see that the two processes get interlinked. So as it is right now, the refund process and the audit process are operating separately. So one of the things we are doing is to look into it to see we make the process seamless, we make everything online, and we are able to track. Another key thing is we want a customer to be able to see if a customer applied like for refunds, at any one point, the customer is able to know my refund is at what point. Okay. Another thing that we are doing in relation to audits, because this is an area that customers have been having concerns on, and customers say that I was audited and I was asked for documents and I was asked for documents again. No, this is one of the things that we are looking into, whereby before an audit is initiated, our officers will be sending you all the required documents. And it will be very clear so that we do not have that aspect of somebody saying, no, I've been asked for these and we did not agree in the meetings and all that. And even our audit system is actually on iTax as we speak. So what I was talking about refunds and audits, it was just linking the two so that a customer whose refund has gone to audit is able to tell that has gone to audit by checking the iTax platform. They don't need to be told by an officer that your refund is now undergoing the audit process. But once a customer logs into our system, they'll be able to tell, yes, I applied for my refunds on this date, by this date, this is what had been done, and audits started at this date. So those are some of the things that we are working on. But Carlo, yes, we have the integrity plans, the key integrity risk plans, the key corruption plans that we are implementing. Okay. Yes.
So with regard to corruption risks,
yes,
tax compliance certificate,
yes,
has been mentioned, or rather we've heard about it being an area very prone to corruption. So what have you done in line with addressing matters of TCC, tax compliance?
Okay. Well, tax compliance certificate is that certificate that you will need to show your compliance status. our esteemed clients, since we know this, all it requires for us is to ensure our registration is in order and it's in iTax. We are filing on iTax platform, and we are filing for the taxes that as they should be. We are paying our taxes correctly and on time. And if there are other emerging issues, we are ensuring that we are dealing with all these emerging issues on the iTax platform. That is who a tax compliant person is a person who has observed, they have the right obligations, they are filing on iTax, they are paying the correct amount of taxes, and that is it. So now, why is tax compliance a concern? About 3 years ago, we ensured that the application of the tax compliance certificate became instant. If by the Caroline you have your right obligations and you do not have any debts and you have been filing your returns, you just need to log into iTax and apply for tax compliance certificate and receive it instantly. So where is the gap? The gap now comes in when there are returns that have not been filed, there are payments that have not been paid, and a few cases of where there is a reconciliation aspect. And these cases where it's a reconciliation aspect, those ones are handled from back office and they are handled very fast. So these other areas is where, my dear customers, we want to address. You have some taxes you ought to have paid and you did not pay. You have some returns that you ought to have filed, but you have not filed. So what happens when this person now visits the tax service office, when we look into how their account look, and by the way, a customer is able to tell that they have a gap. A customer does not need even to visit our office to know they have a gap. A customer just logs into iTax and goes to apply for tax compliance certificate. If the customer is compliant, they receive the tax compliance certificate instantly. Okay. If they are not compliant, then the system will tell that you have this outstanding, maybe the returns that have not been filed, the taxes that have not been paid, and all that. And so our dear customers, it's when you are now adhere to the given gaps that are there that the tax compliance certificate will be issued. But we are still open in improving our processes. And as we continue receiving more feedback from our customers, we are continuing to enhance our processes. But dear customers, let's ensure we file our returns. We file the correct returns as it is. We pay the correct amount of taxes as well.
Thank you very much for those updates. We are almost coming up to the tail end of this sensitization, but just enlighten us about EGMS. That's an area again that people will wish to know or to understand about EGMS. Please tell us about matters of compliance and excise duty on the same.
Okay. Well, excise tax and excise stamps, it's one of the areas that our customers, I even remember the president mentioned that the stamps, the revenue collected from stamps in some other countries was slightly higher than ours. And it's one of the things that I think somebody talked about, maybe there were fake stamps and all that. But I wish to state this, that our issuance of stamps is actually done at the tax service offices. We have one office here, Times Tower, doing that, and we have it also being done at the tax service offices. So EGMS is that system that is in use in matters our excise tax. And would you be having a concern with maybe your timelines from the date you applied for your stamps to the date that you received that? Let us know. But I wish to report that our office is fast tracking that process, and that issuance has been quickened, so that we ensure that all our clients receive their stamps on time. Because as it is, you will not be able to sell your products if they do not have the excise stamps on them. Another thing is the persons with the online systems. We have the online stamps as well. So it's a matter of liaising with our excise office that sits currently sitting on 17th floor, and within no time they are moving to Samia Business Park, Block C, and liaise with your account manager, either at the tax service offices or our domestic or our enforcement office that is currently sitting at 17th floor and will be moving to the Samia Business Park, Block C. But in the meantime, your tax service office should be able to address all your stamp concerns.
Wow, thank you very much. I'm just looking at the questions or chats that I'm getting here. There's a lot of accolades from KRA staff, for the taxpayers, for the prolific presentation. And we want to thank you for participating and also for just logging in and to follow and to learn about our processes. So escalation of issues from different TSOs, you mentioned about escalation of issues because some of the taxpayers have been complaining that their matters are not escalated. They're not resolved. Talked about resolving complaints, but just tell us about segregation of duties and escalation of issues as we end up this sensitization.
Okay. Wow. I know there are some customers who had stated earlier that an audit or a compliance check was conducted on them and they were aggrieved. I wish to state that KRA has segregated its duties fully. By this, what I mean, when a compliance check or an audit check is conducted on you and you're objecting to the officer's decision, we have an independent team called Independent Review of Objections. So if I conducted your audit and you are not satisfied with the assessment that I placed on you, there's a different person who will review the objection. So if you're objecting, have the confidence because it's not me you will meet there. It will be a totally different and a new person. On that note as well, I wish to inform our esteemed clients that we have an alternate dispute resolution office as well. If you feel aggrieved, there's an office to go to. In addition to that, we have an independent tribunal. By the way, tribunal has independent. It's totally independent. The persons that you meet in the tribunal are not KRA officers. They're actually not, it's an independent, the independent parties, they're experts from the various fields. So that's one of the things that is in place. And even, would you feel more aggrieved even after going to the tribunal? You have the High Court to go to. Now, let's again talk about how we escalate our issues. If I am based in, if my station is Busia office, and I live in Nairobi, for example, I'm currently maybe assigned an assignment in Nairobi, I should not be going back to Busia office for last service. And that's why I said, with our 43 tax stations, if you belong to the small taxpayer office, you can visit any small taxpayer office that's near you for your services. And if your issue requires the attention of your specific tax service office, what we do, we escalate the issues. We do not escalate the taxpayers. So note that. We have noted that a few customers would visit Nairobi and they are told their tax service office is like Busia and they go to Busia. Our dear customers, you don't have to go to Busia. We escalate the issue for you and we will follow up. And on matters, yes, we do not want any customers being escalated. We want issues escalated.
I like that. We don't want taxpayers to be escalated. We want issues to be escalated. Thank you very much, Wanja, for enlightening us. I know all of us are well informed about KRA modus operandi when it comes to domestic tax and again entrenching ethics and integrity in KRA operations. To KRA officers, we thank you for always serving our taxpayers well. We also thank our taxpayers for paying revenue. We really appreciate them so much. So I want to talk about reward framework. We said that we normally reward our informers. We have an informer reward framework whereby that framework is a system or rather an incentive to the public to share information that can lead KRA to recover tax from the tax evaders. So how does the framework work? For instance, so the reward is payable under subsection 1 of the informer reward framework, and information leading to the identification of unassessed duties or taxes, we are able to pay 1% of the duties or taxes identified, or 100,000, whichever is less. Again, in the informal reward framework, information leading to the recovery of unassessed duties or taxes. We are able to pay the informers 5% of the taxes or duties recovered up to 5 million, whichever is less. And lastly, in the case of information not specified, what I've mentioned on unassessed, on identification of unassessed duties or recovery, we're able to pay 500,000. So, our dear listeners, as you've heard that KRA has an informal reward framework whereby we are able to reward our informers. And at the same time, we have a policy called whistleblower policy, whereby we're able to protect our whistleblowers from being discriminated or being intimidated. Wanja had said earlier about how we are able to reward our taxpayers or with regards to complaints, and I've been able to elucidate further on what our department is doing to ensure that we are able to reward our informers. On corruption reporting, we have a mechanism of reporting corruption, and you can report corruption by writing a letter to the Commissioner General, Kenya Revenue Authority. Our address is 48240 or 48240 Nairobi. But those who are not comfortable in writing letters at this era of automation. So we have a new baby in the house called iWhistle, whereby you whistle and we listen. So you can log into our website. You log into iWhistle at kra.go.ke, and you can report anonymously without anyone getting to know that you've reported either who has been involved in corruption. You can call us via hotline number. Hotline number is 0726 984 668 or 0709 017 700. So we have a toll-free number, which is 0800 72 18 88. Let me repeat again. You can call via 0726 784 6668, or you can call through our toll-free number 0800 72 18 88. Our email for reporting is corruptionreporting@kra.go.ke or cic@kra.go.ke. Again, our audience, feel free to walk into our corruption reporting office, which is at 26th floor, Times Tower, or any other KRA office whereby you'll be listened to and served very, very well. So Wanja, I've mentioned about how people can report their complaints.
Yes.
And also, whenever time our IAOs, city insurance officers have engagements, they always tell our taxpayers to be reporting complaints.
Yes.
Or probably if they're not treated well, because we always urge our officers to treat our taxpayers with utmost decorum and dignity. So we urge our taxpayers to work in synergy with our officers, because they're patriotic, they are willing to support us in everything that we do. So Wanja, I know we are winding up, but there's something that we hadn't mentioned. It's on approval processes on VAT and pay obligation. Maybe just tell us something just before we finish this, because I'm seeing questions here about approvals and obligations. Yes.
Okay. Wow. The timeline for addition of obligations or the service level agreement for addition of VAT and PAYE obligation is actually 5 days. Now, initially, when somebody would apply for a PIN through the eCitizen platform, they were enabled to get the VAT and the PAYE obligation. But we noted that a number of us were selecting obligations without knowing if we need this obligation or not. And that's why we enhanced it in 2 ways. Number one, by ensuring that on iTax platform, you are able to tell the system speaks to you when you select the obligation. Now, on the eCitizen platform, we separated the process of PIN from pay-as-you-earn or VAT obligation. And now we let the person who applies for VAT or for pay-as-you-earn obligation get an approval so that our officers are able to check on your application. And if they notice that you're actually not trading, you have input the obligations by mistake, we are able to reject. So we contact you when we notice gaps, and in other times when you have provided sufficient information, we just proceed and approve. But yes, for new registrations, the surface level agreement is 5 days. This is slightly different, Carlo, maybe from somebody who was trading, who had the VAT obligation, and then they were not filing, and we stopped. We stopped them a bit, and so for such parties it may take slightly longer, but for the people who yours is a new application, yes, it takes 5 days. It takes 5 days, yes.
Wow, good to know. Another question here, I just want to respond to, not even responding, just to inform also our taxpayers and also the ones who are listening to us that the call center number is 0711 099 999 if you want to reach out to us. And I'm also seeing messages of these people are giving us accolades about the prolific presentation. Wanja, what about the issue of implementation of recommendations arising from corruption perception surveys? You know, we normally do corruption perception surveys, and we normally engage external consultants. We normally interview our taxpayers. What about it?
Okay, well, every year, this has been done, by the way, annually. For the last year, we received a report on the corruption survey and bribery survey. We also received a report from the customer satisfaction survey. What we are doing at Domestic Taxes Department is we take these recommendations and in the course of the year, we implement the recommendations. And I wish to state that these are some of the reports that are helping us in sealing any gaps in our systems in a big way. So when customers complain maybe or when we get these reports and the reports have pointed out like there's a given system, maybe let's talk about this, there's a system that has a gap in, maybe some people are able to, I'm trying to look into one of the gaps that I've noted. So what we've been doing is look into these recommendations and work on sealing the gaps that the customers have brought forward. So even the report that we get for this year, Carlo, it will still lead us and guide us in improving the processes in the years to come. So what I would urge maybe our clients is, are you one of the participants in giving feedback in these surveys? Please give good feedback, because your feedback will go a long way in our systems. Remember what we said, we are listening to what you're saying and making the changes in our systems and processes accordingly. Yeah.
Wow, indeed, KRA has been re-engineering its processes so that at least it can deliver a better process to us. You talked about systems, huh?
Yes.
We normally do what we call systems reviews.
Yes.
Once in a while we do systems reviews. We normally send information or messages to our taxpayers that we are going to check our systems. So what do we mean when you say that probably we are reviewing our systems? What does it mean, for instance?
Okay. System review basically means looking into a process that's in place. Let me talk about registration process. Looking at the PIN registration process, for example, looking into any gaps that would be in the PIN registration process. Like maybe one of the gaps that we noted is our customer, maybe the non-residents who are in Mombasa are saying that they would want PIN to be issued from Mombasa. And now one of the things that we are working on is ensuring that we are making plans to open a PIN unit for the non-residents in Mombasa. So that's what system recommendation mean. You look into what is the customer view, what is the process that's in place, and where do we want that process to move to, and then put plans into place towards moving to where we want to serve the customer better. Yes.
Okay. All right. Nice, very good. Why do you limit rights to maybe our officers? Why do you have a specific, why do you limit actually rights, specific ITAX rights to some people regarding our systems?
Okay. Well, one of the internal control systems that any office would have is by ensuring that the people who have access to a given process are well known. And so in ITAX, one of the key things we do is, are you a registration officer? Then we give you registration rights only. Are you a compliance officer? Then we give you compliance rights only. So the reason as to why we do this is because we know if we gave you everything, you can easily burn yourself with everything and you are not using everything. So just as we have segregated the duties, that we have a debt officer, we have a compliance officer, the same way we have taken care of the ITAX rights that we give to our staff. Another thing about that is we want to have some control, because look at it, if I can do everything from start to the end, there may be no one else having a check on that. So this is one of the ways to ensure that any process like return amendments, there is the person who receives the return amendment task and who works on it, and then there's the supervisor who makes the last approval. So it helps us, it's an internal control way, and it helps us in knowing that our officers are properly using their rights, and I mean all processes are well taken care of. Yes. So by that, Carlo, what I mean, there's no officer who can be able to clear or to handle registration, debt, compliance, I mean everything. We have specialized. We have the information, yes, but when it comes to execution of the tasks in on ITAX, somebody will not be able to do the approval of a PIN, issue a tax compliance certificate, maybe from the back office, grant a waiver. No, those are the controls that we are talking about. That, yeah, we have put those controls in place.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Wanja, our subject matter expert. I believe that we've been able to understand various processes on what KRA has put in place to mainstream ethics and integrity. Again, also, I want to appreciate our audience for following through, for sharing their questions, and we look forward to having more sensitizations on ethics and integrity in our processes. I want to end up with a quote by someone called John F. Kennedy. He talks about patriotism. Patriotism is a national value and a principle of governance, whereby we urge taxpayers to pay voluntarily their taxes. Again, we are being reminded that ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. Our dear listeners, what can you do for your country? A question to ponder about. We thank you so much, and we look forward to more engagements. I was your moderator, Gitegi Caroline, from Intelligence and Strategic Operations Department, Kenya Revenue Authority, and our guest speaker was Wanja Wangondu, Chief Manager, Domestic Taxes Department. Thank you very much.